Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. If you can't tell by my background, I have moved, and during the moving process I did not have a lot of time to read, so I'm just now getting back into the reading process and I'm excited to review books again. So today I'm going to be reviewing Starport. Starport is based off a pilot by George R.R. Martin, and then down here it says art and adaptation by Raya Golden. So I assume she's the one who took what he wrote for the TV show and then adapted it into this graphic novel. So I pulled this off the shelf. First of all, because it kind of looked sci-fi and that interested me. It was wasn't small, but it wasn't horribly big, so I knew I could get through it pretty quickly. And it was by George R.R. Martin. So to begin with, I haven't actually read anything else by George R.R. Martin. I tried to read the Game of Thrones series when I was much younger, think maybe early middle school, and it was just a little too violent for me. But even as an adult, I'm very sensitive to violence, so I don't really know if that's my cup of tea necessarily. I'd love to try to read some of them at some point just because of how popular they are, but I have not read anything by him. So this was actually the first thing that I've read by him, or him and Raya Golden, as I'm sure she did a lot of work in the adaptation process. So this graphic novel takes place on Earth, but in this world, Earth has been contacted by a group of aliens, and basically it's this big collective that as they meet new species, they add them to their group. So humans are species, I believe 315, yes. So they have a group of 314 aliens. When they meet new ones, I guess they observe, and when they think the time is right, they go and introduce themselves and say, hey, do you want to join our group? So humans have become 315. The city of Chicago has created this place called Starport, and it's kind of this galactic meeting place for all the species where they're going to meet and discuss and do tourism and trade and things along that nature. In this book, we follow a police department who is in charge of Starport. So Starport's kind of like an international zone as opposed to Chicago, which it resides in Chicago, but it's kind of outside Chicago's jurisdiction. It's kind of an international space. I don't really know how else to describe it. So there is a police force that we're following that's kind of managing it, and it's kind of about their misadventures. So we have this woman here, I think it's her. We have a woman named Bobby, at least, who is very committed to her job, but she's secretly having a relationship with another person from another species, which no one knows about. Everyone thinks she's just cold and doesn't want to date anyone. We have the individual, his name is Aaron, who's part of the I don't know, called xenophobic group. So there's like this extreme group that believes that Earth should be put first, which is a very realistic reaction. If you think about what would happen if aliens came to Earth, there would probably be a faction of people who thought that we should put Earth first. So it's a believable sentiment. There's a group that takes it very far, and they plan on getting their hands on some pretty powerful weapons and maybe shooting some important people. This man named Aaron is undercover with this group of kind of extremists to see what he can uncover. We have a new guy who's paired with the person who doesn't work well with others. He's new, he's kind of a nerd, I guess you could say, when it comes to all the species. And those are kind of our key characters, I guess you could say. I'm trying to think. There's a number of other people that you kind of get to know, but they're more secondary characters. Very early on in the book, a very important diplomat comes to visit and see Starport, and he is killed, and they don't really know how or why, and so it kind of becomes a mystery of who did it and what were their motives, and yeah, stopping them so there's no more future international incidents or diplomatic incidents. I enjoyed this book. I thought it was a really good read. I really love the art in it. Some of my complaints though were that the ending felt kind of rushed, as in they were like, okay, we need to wrap this up, so we're gonna wrap it up. And that, I think, had to do with more of the fact that this was going to be a one-shot, or at least I believe this is going to be a one-shot. So this could definitely be like a series or a world or a set of comics, but this was kind of all wrapped into one, so it kind of felt like the whole world had to be contained in one. I really appreciate people who take the time and effort to do standalone fantasy and standalone sci-fi. I feel like it's not done as often, so I really appreciate people when they try. Again, I'm not sure if this is part of a series, but it kind of felt like they had wrapped it all up at the end of this. I feel like, though, that can lend itself to problems where you're trying to pack a whole world into one series, particularly sci-fi and fantasy, where you're stepping outside the bounds of the world as we know it, unlike maybe more traditional fiction. So I think that can make it more difficult to do a standalone, which is why I really appreciate it when it's done well. So the ending felt a little rushed, and I just really wanted to spend more time with the aliens. That's just my personal thing. That's something I really love about sci-fi, is all the different alien life forms, and I like to see what other authors can come up with. So I really, really enjoyed that, and they did give us quite a bit of that, and the aliens were very different, and it wasn't like they were all humanoid creatures. But yeah, I feel like they did become a little overambitious in cramming everything into this, but I don't think it's bad. I feel like it's just maybe a common thing that happens when you're trying to fit so much in a whole new world, in a whole new setting, as well as a mystery and kind of several different plot lines which discuss or give you a feel of the world of Starport and the sentiments of people on Earth. And fitting all of that into a book of this size, it's gotta be like 300, 400 pages. The pages aren't numbered. So the fact that you have to cram it all in does become a little difficult, and yeah, it's just something that I don't think can be helped. And again, if this was a TV pilot show, then maybe they were intending to turn it into a series, and that can definitely be seen in this, I think, as well. I think maybe like a TV show about a police department in a galactically international center of Chicago would be really interesting, and that would give it some of the breathing space maybe this book needed. So this is a 3-star for me, but I really do recommend. I would recommend getting a copy of it and seeing what you think about it yourself, especially if you like alien life, especially if anything that I said sounds interesting. There's a little bit of, yeah, sci-fi, mystery, stuff like that. So I really enjoyed this book, and I hope you give it a read, and if you enjoy it, please let me know. Other than that, everyone, I hope you have a great day.